Good morning, everyone. Today, we are building on the knowledge of figurative language we've already started to gain by analyzing the use of metaphors in poetry. Before getting started, I'd like to hear you brainstorm some types of figurative language we've already learned so far this year. Yes.
Personification.
Yes, personification is a type of figurative language. Great.
Alliteration.
Perfect. Alliteration as well. So now, oh, another one. Yes.
Imagery.
Wonderful. Yes, very good. So now, by holding up your fingers, can you show me on a scale of 1 to 3 how familiar you are with the term metaphor? Okay, all right. So you have somewhat of an idea, but maybe not a really solid idea yet, and that's okay. We're going to talk about it. A metaphor is a type of figurative language that's used to make a comparison between two things that are not alike. A metaphor doesn't use the words like or as to make that comparison, so they could be a little trickier to spot. Let's take the example of the words life and highway, two completely unrelated words. But Life is a Highway is a very popular song that we hear all the time on the radio, and it describes the journey that one takes in life. So yesterday, we learned about a type of figurative language that compares two unlike things using the words like or as. Now, this type of figurative language is actually called a simile. And although similes are very similar to metaphors, metaphors don't use the words like or as, so they could be much more difficult to find when you're reading a piece of text. So today, we are going to read through the poem Dreams by Langston Hughes. And I would like you to read through the copy on your desks and see if you can underline the two metaphors Hughes uses in his poem. Yes. That's right. So Hughes uses two metaphors within this poem, and you were able to spot them perfectly. The first is if dreams die, life is like a broken winged bird that cannot fly. And the second metaphor he uses is when dreams go, life is a barren field frozen with snow. Hughes uses these metaphors as a way to explain what happens when one loses sight of their dreams in life. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put our knowledge to the test. Can you determine the difference between a simile and a metaphor? So I want you to log into Kahoot right now, and we're going to play a game against one another to see if we've gained some new knowledge today in our learning. All right, first question. Rapunzel's hair was as fine as silk. Simile or metaphor? Look at that. 3, 4, 3. Wonderful job. Obviously, you have a really strong understanding of the difference between these two types of figurative language. Wonderful. You have done such a fantastic job today in looking at the difference between similes and metaphors and building on the knowledge of figurative language. You already have had a foundation. So what I want you to remember is that when you can recognize and use metaphors in your writing will be stronger. And when you can see those metaphors and pick them out of what you're reading, you'll be able to analyze text in a much deeper and meaningful way. Great job today, everyone. So oftentimes I'm asked about how difficult the process was of learning how to use this technology myself as someone who's never used it before. And it was extremely easy. As far as the camera system goes, it's as easy as hitting preset 1, 2, and 3 on the remote. As long as I know what each preset is for, I know exactly what to hit. And after a while, it becomes second nature, hitting the buttons to go along with whatever I'm doing in the room. To switch to the camera at the front of the room, you simply hit Alt-N and it switches the viewpoint. And again, once I learned that's what it is that will switch back and forth between the two, it was very simple. From an audio standpoint, the microphone is very simple. You just turn it on and it captures your voice loud and clear, which is a concern wearing a mask, that will be captured correctly. And the interactive whiteboard is something I already use. I have a smartboard in my classroom. I use smart software consistently. So it's nothing different for me. But putting all the pieces together has really made a difference for me in my ability to deliver instruction. So when talking about the benefit that this technology offers me as a teacher in my classroom, I really think about my students. If I was in a situation where half of my class was at home and signing in virtually and half of my class was in school, I would know that those students at home could feel like they were here for the lesson, just like the kids who were sitting in front of me. My biggest concern is having those kids feel like they're part of things even when they can't physically be here, but the camera system allows them to see what their peers are doing and feel like they're part of it. The interactive whiteboard feature allows them to see the lesson on my screen in their own homes, just as the other students in the classroom will see it. And the audio system makes sure that they can hear me just as clearly as the rest of the class. And in speaking about audio, wearing a mask is one of my biggest concerns through all of this. In a class of 25 kids, how can I project my voice enough for the kids in the back of the room to hear me, for the students who are at home to hear me? I walk around constantly as I teach to check in on my students, how they're doing, the progress they're making, and I could never see being tethered to a microphone on my computer, unable to navigate around the classroom and check in on my students' progress. So the mic system is really just irreplaceable in that sense, because I'm able to do what I naturally always do. And everyone still benefits as if they were here or as if they were right in front of me.